Okay, so like, are you ready to seriously level up your AI game?
Yeah, we're talking like going from just messing around with AI to really understanding how to make it sing.
To make it sync. You
Yes,
know, sometimes you put in a prompt and it's like,
garbage in, garbage out.
totally, it's like, what am I even doing wrong? And it turns out it's this whole thing called AI prompt engineering.
Yeah, it's a skill.
It is a skill. It's like learning how to talk to the AI.
It's like, you can speak English, but that doesn't mean you can just read Shakespeare and get it, you know?
Right.
There are levels to it.
There's so many levels. So to help us out today, we're diving into this Techipedia article, How to Write AI Prompts. ChatGPT, Bard, Bing, and more. And they even give examples, which I love.
Examples are key, right?
The best.
Otherwise, it's just theory.
Yes, it's Alessandro Mazzolino. He's a tech journalist, so he knows what's up.
He's in the trenches.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing I thought was super interesting is they break down all these different types of prompts.
Oh, yeah, there are more than you think, right?
Way more. And I never even thought about it. Like, there are completion prompts. It's where you give the AI, like, the beginning of something.
Like a story.
Yeah. So say you're writing and you're, like, totally stuck. You could give the AI something like the old rusty spaceship, Creek Desert.
And then, boom, AI takes over.
That is so cool. But then there are instruction prompts. That's more like when you give the AI a very specific task.
Very specific.
Like step-by-step.
Like a recipe. You wouldn't just say to a chef, make me a cake.
Yeah, be way more
Yes.
specific.
Flour, sugar, eggs. The AI needs that level of detail, too.
Yeah. So instead of write a poem about nostalgia.
Yes. Give me a 5-line poem in iambic pentameter about the feeling of nostalgia.
Yes. You're like basically an AI whisperer at this point.
You're speaking its language.
So we're learning to speak AI. But how do we make sure it really understands what we mean? Because humans, we're nuanced. We imply things. This article has some really good tips, and one of them was like, use clear language. Like, duh, right?
But it's harder than you think.
It is, because you're so deep in it.
Yeah, and AI isn't psychic.
Okay, wait, explain that.
Well, people assume the AI has all this background knowledge, like it knows what they had for breakfast or something.
But it doesn't.
No, it only knows what you tell it. So context is key. Like the article says, imagine you're analyzing customer reviews, right? You can't just say, find the negative ones. Negative about what? The price, the shipping. You have to be specific. The example they use is, tell the AI to look for negative sentiment about battery life.
Okay, I see. Much better.
Right, because now it knows what to focus on. Oh, and speaking of focus, another great tip, use examples in your prompts.
Ooh, show don't tell. I like it.
Exactly. Instead of saying, write a captivating product description, you give the AI a couple of examples of what you consider captivating.
So it's like, see this? This is what I'm talking about.
Exactly. You're training it as you go. And this is where it gets even more interesting. There are different types of prompts, but there are also different AI models.
Oh, tell me more about this, because I kind of thought AI was just AI, like one giant brain in the cloud.
It's tempting to think that, right? But it's more like having a whole team of experts, each with their own specialty.
Okay, yeah, like you wouldn't ask a chef to, I don't know, fix your plumbing.
And you wouldn't ask a plumber to bake a souffle.
Exactly. So some AIs are good at creative writing, some are awesome at translations.
Some are better at summarizing factual stuff.
So we need to choose the right AI for the job.
Exactly. It's about picking the right tool from the toolbox.
So how do we do that? How do we figure out which AI is the best fit for what we're trying to do?
Well, trial and error is part of it, but the article suggests doing your research first. Look at what each AI says it's good at. Maybe try some sample prompts.
Kind of like test driving a car before you buy it.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're being very choosy with our AIs.
We have to be. It's all about maximizing our results, right?
So what happens when you think you've found the perfect AI, but it's still not quite getting it?
Yes, the AI facepalm moment.
The facepalm. We've all been there.
It's like, come on, why aren't you understanding me?
Yes. You start questioning your own sanity a little bit.
I'm like, is it me? Is it the AI?
Exactly. So what do we do in those moments?
Well, the article had some really helpful troubleshooting tips. And a lot of it boils down to check your prompt again.
Go back to the source.
Exactly, because often we assume the AI is messing up, but really it might be our instructions.
It's like when a cake falls flat, you immediately blame the oven, but maybe you forgot the baking powder.
Or put salt instead of sugar.
Oh, yeah. It's always in the details, isn't it?
Always. So double check. Are your instructions clear? Did you give enough context? Is this something the AI can actually do? And here's another thing. Prompt engineering is iterative.
Okay, iterative. I hear that word a lot, but honestly, I'm not always sure what it means in practice.
Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It basically means you try something, see how it works, and then you adjust based on the results.
So you're constantly tweaking and refining.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's not about getting it perfect on the first try, but about learning from each attempt and making it better.
So it's a process of discovery.
Exactly. You're discovering what the AI is capable of and also how to communicate with it more effectively. And speaking of discovery, the article dives into this whole world of tools and resources that are out there to help us.
Okay, give me the inside scoop. What kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, there are the well-known platforms like ChatGPT. They're super user-friendly. You can play around with different prompts, try out different creative text formats. But then you've got some really powerful, more specialized tools, too.
Like what? Give me an example. I wanted the secret handshake stuff.
Okay, well, one example is Hugging Face Transformers. Now, this one's a bit more advanced, but basically it's like this huge library of pre-trained AI models, and each one has its own superpower.
I love that superpower. Okay, so what kind of superpowers are we talking about?
Like, you need to translate something from Mandarin to Spanish. Boom, there's a model for that. You want to summarize some crazy financial reports that make sense to a normal human? There's a model for that, too.
So it's like having an army of AI assistants at your beck and call.
You got it.
But that also sounds a little overwhelming. Like, where do you even start?
That's where the article's advice really comes in handy. They basically say, figure out what you want to achieve. What are your AI goals? Once you know that, you can start narrowing down your options and focus on the tools that really align with your vision.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Plus, a lot of these platforms, they offer free trials or free tiers, so you can test the waters before you fully commit. The key is to stay curious, keep experimenting.
And don't be afraid to reach out to the AI community.
Absolutely. Because it's a community, people share tips, they help each other out. It's really cool. And speaking of cool, one more thing I wanted to touch upon is the whole personality of different AI models.
Okay, personality.
Yeah.
I never thought of AI as having a personality.
Right. But each one is trained on this massive data set of text and code. And that shapes its style. Some are great storytellers, others are more analytical and logical.
It's like choosing the right writing partner.
Exactly. You want someone who complements your style and gets what you're going for. For example, you might find one AI model that's always cracking jokes, super witty, while another one is more serious and factual.
So how do we figure out an AI model's personality? Is it just trial and error?
It's a bit of both. The best way to get to know an AI model is to spend some time with it. Try different prompts, see how it responds, pay attention to its writing style, what it's good at, what it struggles with. Does it nail the creative stuff, or does it prefer facts? Is it funny or serious?
It's like any relationship, right? The more you get to know someone, the better you understand how to communicate with them.
Exactly. And clear communication, that's the key to a successful AI collaboration.
So we've covered a lot today, from the different types of prompts to the importance of context and examples, to choosing the right AI model for the job, even troubleshooting those AI facepalm moments. We've even touched upon the tools and resources that are out there, which is super exciting.
It is. It's an ever-evolving landscape, and we're all figuring it out together.
That's the beauty of it. So as we move forward on our AI journeys, what are some key takeaways we should keep in mind?
Okay, key takeaways. Number one, practice, practice, practice. Don't be afraid to experiment, to mess up, to try again. That's how we learn.
Embrace the mistakes.
They're not really mistakes, they're learning opportunities. Number two, remember that every AI model is different. They have their own quirks, their own superpowers. So get to know your tools, choose the ones that are right for the task at hand.
Yeah, like assemble your dream team of AIs.
Exactly. And finally, never underestimate the power of a well-crafted prompt. Clear language, specific instructions, relevant context, and good examples. These are your secret weapons.
Our AI whispering tools.
Yes.
Awesome. So to wrap it up, experiment, know your tools, and craft those killer prompts.
You got it. And most importantly, have fun with it.
Because AI can be fun.
It can be incredibly fun.
It can be mind-blowingly fun. Okay, that is a wrap on another deep dive into the world of AI. We hope you've learned a ton, and as always, we're excited to see what you create. Until next time, keep experimenting and keep pushing the boundaries. It's a bit like online dating. For AI models, swipe right on the ones that seem like a good fit for your project.
And just like dating, sometimes you have to kiss a few frogs before you find your prince.
Okay, that's hilarious. But what happens when you think you've found the one, but the AI still throws you a curveball? We've all been there, those frustrating moments when you're like, What is this AI even doing?
Ah, yes, the inevitable AI head scratcher. The good news is that the article gives some great troubleshooting tips. Often, it's about going back to the prompt itself.
So before you assume the AI has gone rogue, double check your work.
Exactly. Did you give it clear instructions? Enough context. Is the task something this particular AI model is actually capable of doing?
It's like when you follow a recipe to a T, but the cake still comes out flat. You start questioning everything. Maybe the oven temperature was off, or maybe you used baking powder instead of baking soda.
Hmm,
Sometimes it's the smallest details that trip us up.
exactly. And just like a good chef learns to troubleshoot their baking, we can learn to troubleshoot our AI prompts. The article also highlights the iterative nature of prompt engineering.
Iterative. Does that mean what I think it means? Because I always hear that word thrown around in tech circles, and honestly, it kind of makes my eyes glaze over.
Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. Iterative just means going through a cycle of trying something, seeing how it works, and then adjusting based on the result. It's about embracing experimentation and not being afraid to make tweaks along the way.
So it's not about expecting perfection on the first try. It's about refining and improving over time.
Precisely. And this is where the real magic of AI prompt engineering comes in. It's a process of discovery, both in terms of what the AI is capable of and how we can communicate more effectively to unlock its full potential. Now, the article also dives into some of the tools and resources available to help us on our AI journey. And let me tell you, it's an exciting playground out there.
Give me the inside scoop. What kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, you've got your well-known platforms like ChatGPT, of course. They offer a user-friendly interface for experimenting with different prompts and exploring various creative text formats. But there's also a whole world of more specialized tools out there.
Ooh, like what? Give me an example.
Take Hugging Face Transformers, for instance. It's a bit more advanced, but incredibly powerful. Think of it as a massive library of pre-trained AI models, each with its own area of expertise. Need to translate a document from Mandarin to Spanish? There's a model for that. Want to summarize complex financial reports in plain English? There's a model for that too.
Wow, it's like having an army of AI assistants at your fingertips. But with so many options, it can be overwhelming to know where to start.
Absolutely. That's why the article emphasizes the importance of identifying your specific needs and goals. What are you hoping to achieve with AI? Once you know what you're looking for, you can start narrowing down the options and exploring the tools that best align with your vision.
So working smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly. And remember, most of these platforms offer free trials or free tiers, so you can dip your toes in the water without making a big commitment. The key is to experiment, explore, and find what works best for you.
And don't be afraid to ask for help or guidance along the way. The online AI community is incredibly supportive and always willing to share knowledge and insights.
Absolutely. It's all about collaboration and learning from each other's experiences. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into the world of AI prompt engineering, there's one more crucial aspect we need to touch upon: understanding the personality of different AI models.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I never thought of AI as having a personality.
Well, think about it this way. Each AI model is trained on a massive data set of text and code, which shapes its unique capabilities and tendencies. Some models are like master storytellers, while others excel at logical reasoning and analysis.
So it's like choosing the right writing partner for your next project.
Exactly. For instance, you might find that one AI model consistently generates humorous and witty responses, while another tends to be more factual and to the point.
So how do we figure out the personality of a particular AI model? Is it a matter of trial and error, or are there telltale signs to look out for?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, actually. The best way to get to know an AI model is to spend time experimenting with it, trying out different prompts and observing its responses. Pay attention to its writing style, its strengths, and its limitations. Does it excel at generating creative content, or is it more comfortable with factual information? Does it have a knack for humor, or does it tend towards a more serious tone?
It's like getting to know a new friend or colleague. You start to understand their quirks, their strengths, and the best way to communicate with them to achieve the desired outcome.
Precisely. And just like in any relationship, clear communication is key to a successful collaboration.
It's kind of like we're learning a whole new language, right? The language of AI.
Yeah, and the more you practice, the more fluent you become.
Exactly. And just like learning any language, it opens up all these new possibilities.
New ways of thinking, new ways of creating.
It's like having this superpower. I can generate different creative text formats. I can translate languages. I can summarize super complex info, even write different kinds of creative content. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is powerful stuff. And like with any powerful tool, we've got to make sure we're using it responsibly.
That's a really good point. It's not just about what AI can do, but what we should be doing with it.
Exactly. We have to think about the impact, the potential consequences, both good and bad.
It's like we're explorers in this uncharted territory.
And we get to help shape the future and how we interact with technology.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into AI prompt engineering, what are some key takeaways our listeners should remember as they start exploring this for themselves?
Okay, key takeaways. Number one, and I can't stress this enough, experiment. Don't be afraid to try things, to make mistakes, to learn as you go. It's all part of the process.
Exactly. Number two, remember every AI model is different. They have their own strengths and weaknesses, their own little quirks. So get to know your tools. Figure out which ones are the best fit for what you're trying to do.
Find your AI soulmates.
Yes. And last but not least, never underestimate the power of a well-crafted prompt. Clear language, specific instructions, context, examples. These are the things that make all the difference.
Our AI secret sauce.
Exactly.
So to sum it all up, experiment, know your tools, and craft those amazing prompts.
You got it.
That is a wrap on another deep dive. We hope you enjoyed exploring the world of AI prompt engineering with us. And remember, keep learning, keep experimenting, and we'll see you next time.